Hi there, I'm Amy.
And I'm Sue.
And we're the mother-daughter duo behind Chatter Matters.
Each week, we're going to be chatting through everyday challenges and how we navigate them as two women from different generations.
So get yourself comfy, grab your cup of tea or coffee, and let us show you why Chatter Matters.
Well, welcome back, everybody.
Welcome back, everyone, to another week, another episode.
Another episode. Episode 9, I believe, Ames.
Episode 9. We're nearly at double digits. It's really actually quite exciting.
We have kept at it.
I know. It's
great.
one of those things of like, when you start, you're like, are we really going to keep doing this? But I think you and I have just fallen more in love with it as we've kept going.
Yeah, it's been good. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Well, this week we thought we would talk about resilience, given that the world is crazy.
It's insane. It's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in the world. Most people's lives, I think, are also pretty insane and very quick and very crazy.
Yeah, it just feels like, and I don't know if this just comes with growing up, but just feels like life has picked up pace every single year. It just goes by faster and faster and faster and faster.
Yeah. So we thought it might be interesting if we actually chatted about how do we keep ourselves resilient. So when times are tough, when we're feeling overwhelmed, how do we take care of ourselves?
Yeah.
And is there a difference intergenerationally?
Yeah, very true.
Or do we use similar strategies as mother and daughter, or do we use very different strategies? So we thought we might share that.
Absolutely. And I think I'm also going to be interested how many of the strategies I talk about are ones you're like, yep, I taught you how to do that. Yeah. Like how much of that is from my childhood versus things that I've just come up with by myself.
Great. So we'll go through. I think we'll start off with a guilty pleasure.
A guilty pleasure.
When we're overwhelmed, where do we go when we just want to just hide under a duvet?
Well, I think that leads us in.
Well, then after that, we'll then talk about what does overwhelm look like.
Yeah.
For each of us, because
I get overwhelmed a lot. So
yes, you do. I think you get a star on your overwhelm.
I do. Yeah, I'm a frequent flyer of the overwhelm club.
So I think we'll talk about that. What does it look like? Then I thought we'd talk about what coping strategies we've got, and then I thought we'd talk about how can you help other people.
Nice. I love it. I love it.
So dive in. What's your guilty pleasure when life is just too much? Where do you go? What do you do?
Well, as the self-crowned queen of being overwhelmed, my guilty pleasure, not necessarily the one that always solves my problem, but my guilty pleasure, I need a little Disney movie. Aww. I just need to let my little inner child have a moment. Often it's because I really need to cry.
Right.
And nothing sets me off quite like a Disney movie.
So cute.
Yeah. And I think the other one is, so then the other guilty pleasure one, which is more just me switching my brain off, is I have a deep love of something called Dimension 20, which is a Dungeons and Dragons comedy improv show. And Mum and I joke that we each have something in each other's social media that actually sets our teeth on edge. And I think for you it's my D&D show, and for me, I'm sorry to Trini, but I can't with the Trini stories. But so from a guilty pleasure perspective, I definitely will turn to my D&D show just to let my brain switch off.
And you can do hours
on end, very easily. I've just rewatched one of the seasons, and they have 20 odd episodes, and they're about 3 hours long.
And what does it do for you as a guilty pleasure? What does it do for you in terms of dealing with overwhelm?
I think it's because it works my brain in the same. It brings together for me reading and TV watching, because I feel calmer when I read, because it just lets my brain just travel and imagine and get used in a way that's really soothing to me, whereas it requires a bit of effort to read. So watching TV is that much less cognitive effort.
Okay.
So with D&D, because it's make-believe, you're having to imagine what these characters look like and what they're doing and that kind of thing. It switches on that soothing part of reading, but with the less effort of just being able to lie comatose on a sofa and just take it in.
Well, I might be more
less teeth edge,
less. Oh my goodness, here she goes again. And I get why you do it. So my guilty pleasure, I can do a box set.
Hey, Mum's Netflix account, you should see it. She rips through a box set.
If I want to escape, I think so for me, when it's overwhelmed, it's like when I just need to switch off.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do anything, don't want to go anywhere, don't want to talk to anybody, and I just want to immerse myself in some kind of escapism.
What's your favourite escapism at the moment?
Well, but I do a lot of reality TV, which is a real guilty pleasure. I mean, I'm not sure.
Say you rip through so much more reality TV than I do.
I don't know. I think I'm a voyeur. I think naturally
that could be taken in a really bad way.
I mean, in terms of just watching.
Enjoying people watching.
Yeah, people watching. Why? What else do you think that was? Hey. So yes, I enjoy people watching, and I don't know why reality TV does it for me, but I kind of like it, and it is a bit. I'm not sure many people that are friends of mine would know that I spend my time watching reality TV. But
this is the funny thing, because like I will have a conversation with someone at work who I'm like, I don't expect them to be a reality TV watcher. And they'll be like, oh, give me like a Netflix recommendation. And I'll talk about like some of the more like, I'm starting to watch Yellowstone. And they're like, ugh, boring. What reality TV have you watched? I was like, oh my goodness. And I feel like it would be the same reaction of like, oh my goodness, you're so highbrow as a person.
I'm not sure about that. But I'm watching Battle Camp at the moment. Which
I know you were telling me about it last night.
Which is just wild. It's wild.
I feel like anything Netflix puts out, you will just consume within about a week of it being live.
Yeah, and less than. I mean, when I binge, I binge. I mean, often, when your TV says, ask me later if you're still watching, I will often get that little prompt. All right, so that's our guilty pleasure.
Guilty pleasures.
So let's do a little bit more. What when we think about or experience overwhelm, where do you go with it? What happens to you? I guess what triggers it initially, and then where do you go with it?
So I, as I said before, I get overwhelmed quite a lot. I'm getting so much better at dealing with it, but it doesn't stop me getting overwhelmed quite a lot. I think I feel a lot. I put a lot of myself into whatever I do. I'm naturally quite a perfectionist. I mean, it's probably not natural, it's learnt. But I am a massive perfectionist, and I love to put pretty much 100% into whatever I do. And that's not true. I like to put 100% into my work, and it was like that at school with my academic work. It was in my final year of uni. It was very much like that as well. And now I'm in work. I think I tie so much of my identity to it. And so when things don't go well, or how I have decided well looks like, I will get pretty overwhelmed. My other big thing is I'm a massive introvert. So when I have almost too many social plans and don't give myself enough alone time and breathing room, that's the other big thing. It's like, because you always tell me like it's about burning the candle at both ends. Like I will be throwing myself into what I'm doing at work, and then equally having a really, really busy social life outside of it, and then I'll get 10 days down the line and suddenly I'm not sleeping well. I'm crying over the smallest thing. I just don't feel like I just like, it's that hamster wheel feeling for me. So I think it's kind of two things. It's typically like it can be an acute moment of I don't feel like I'm doing good enough in what I'm doing, and that can trigger overwhelm. And then also I can have that longer term not managing my social battery. I talk about my social battery a lot in my own life, of not managing that sufficiently. And that can lead to overwhelm over a period of time.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And the behavior that comes out of that. So where do you go? What do you...
Well, I think it always starts with a lot of denial, because like I feel like the pattern is especially for the longer period of time one, at some point you go, just make sure you're not burning the candle at both ends. I'm like, no, I'm fine, mum. I'm fine. Don't worry about me. Cut 2 days later, worry about me. I'm not doing okay. But it manifests in tears for me. Like I get very teary. And there's I'm a massive advocate for allowing your emotions to manifest in a way that's healthy for you. And for me, it's very, very healthy for me to cry. And like I say to people who don't know me very well, I cry with every emotion, whether I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm angry, I'm frustrated, I'm bored. Like, like think of any emotion, I probably have cried to it at some point. But the frequency at which I cry over things increases massively. And my other big hint is I just drop off the face of the earth. Like, I completely isolate myself. I will stop responding to my friends. I will, like, I'm still going to these social events, but like, I'm not texting people about it. I'm not, I'm not talking to anyone outside of work. It's a kind of, when I say outside of work, it's because I've got a very verbal job. I'm on calls quite a lot. So, yeah, I think I isolate myself quite a lot. But not in a healthy recharge way, more in a, I can't face the world. I don't quite know what I'm doing. So I'm just going to exist in this kind of like comatose state. Yeah. I think those would be the two. Are there ones that I've not mentioned that you think I sort of manifest that maybe I'm not aware of?
Procrastination.
Oh yeah, that's a big one. I just forget I do that. Maybe that's the next thing I need to work on.
Normally I know when life is too much, when you're just not getting to the things that I know you need to get to, and you've gone in, and that could be a piece of work, it could be life admin, just getting to the gym, like when you just don't do the things that I know bring you joy. Is normally my sign of, okay, she's in her procrastination now, which means that she's probably she's moving into
dip a toe into
overwhelm, and it's all just too much.
And so are you different? Like, I feel like I don't see you get overwhelmed very much, and when I do, I have no fucking idea what to do.
I mean, I'm similar to you in terms of I retreat. So I just shut down, and like I have nothing to give anyone else. And I think as a mother, you probably don't see that very much, because I think
I was going to say, I don't see that, because whenever I call, you're there.
But because that's the last place I would shut down is for, for children. But I can shut down on everyone else. So that for me is similar, as I'll do a big retreat. Haven't got energy to talk to anyone or be with anyone. I remember when you were little, and when I was running my own business, and I would be really incredibly busy, and then at the weekends I'd come and watch you play sport, and you always used to say to me, why don't you stand with the other mums and chat? And I'd be like, because I'm exhausted and I just want to watch you play sport. I don't want to talk to another soul. So
it's so funny, because I do remember just being like, I don't understand, like all the other mums stand and chat with each other and seem to like be friends with each other, and then you're like off in a corner, the opposite end of the court to everyone else. I mean, I kind of loved it, because also there's a bit where like I can go over and get my solo coaching from my mum, but I do remember it just not computing for me at the time. But I also think I identified as an extrovert at the time, so I probably also just wouldn't have got that. So that would be so that you and I are similar in that way, that I will retreat and look after myself and go into my introverted shell. I think my other overwhelm, I think it normally triggers, I don't get overwhelmed that much, because I know myself pretty well now, and I know my limits. I think it's when things are sort of out of my control. So I think the last time you saw me probably get really overwhelmed was coming back from a business trip, bought a new car. It was a battery, an electric car. It broke down literally on the second time I drove it, and you and I were stranded, and I was like, I am exhausted. All I want to do is go home, and now I've got to sit and wait for a car to, be recovered. And then that wasn't handled very well, so I get incredibly grumpy. Get very snappy,
and my tolerance level for incompetence or anything really
I was gonna say, it's not just incompetence, because I remember when the rescue people got there, and it was just like you just had no time for either of them.
I'm like, just get on and do your job, because I want to go home. So I think that would, for me, I think I've become quite snappy and quite intolerant, I think, when I'm overwhelmed, because I'm like, I don't want to be doing what I'm doing now, so that would be how it manifests.
I think also you were very frustrated with yourself in that moment.
I can get very cross with myself.
And I think cross is the right word, because it's not frustration, like you get angry, not angry, because cross is the right word, because it's not as overt as anger, but it's like, it's very I was about to say like a family, you know, like just made a hash of it.
Exactly. Silly mistake. Unnecessary.
Yeah.
Okay, so coping strategies then.
Yeah.
What are your ones beyond the Disney movies and D&D? What coping strategies have you learnt?
I think it's an extension of the default to retreat, but I think I think the healthier version of it is prioritizing alone time intentionally, because I think the overwhelm manifestation of just retreating for me is not very purposeful. It's just I can't cope with life, so I'm effectively just going to zone out. And that's where things like TV and stuff like that will come in, because it just fills. I don't have to think about anything.
Yeah.
The healthy version of that is prioritizing the things that give me joy by myself. So it's things like going to the gym by myself, even if it's for 20 minutes. And it's never normally for 20 minutes. It always turns into 40 minutes, but it's like, just get there and go. It's reading a book. It's so interesting. I love reading so much, and I know how much joy it brings me. And yet when I get really, really in my overwhelm, I don't prioritize it because it feels like too much effort. So I think the thing for me to get better at is like just picking a comfort book up rather than the one that I'm already reading.
Yeah.
And so I think it's just being a bit more purposeful with my alone time. It's like, what are the things that actually fill up my social battery? Because for me, watching TV doesn't do that. It's going to the gym, potentially getting out for a walk. It's reading a book. It's doing something, you know, actually funnily enough, ticking stuff off my to-do list often helps. See that procrastination coming back in again. So I think it's intentional alone time is my best coping strategy.
Yeah.
And often moving my body, because it like helps me get out of my head into my body, you know, and going and doing a workout, going for a run, going for a walk is like, again, it's that sense of accomplishment. It's that tick. And you get that dopamine hit of like, okay, I am good at something. I can go. You're like, it's okay. Okay, on to the next thing. And it's almost getting that ball rolling.
Yeah.
And I need something to help kick that ball rolling.
Yeah. I mean, that for me makes complete sense, because it's like when your procrastination is kind of like stuck in the mud.
Yeah.
But as soon as you do one thing and you go, I really like that, I really feel better now. And then you get moving again.
Yeah. And then sometimes it accidentally turns into like this binge to-do list marathon. So I think then it's the flip side of being like, okay, little and often, rather than these like big droughts of nothing, big ticks of lots. So I think that's the bit that I'm getting better at it. Interestingly, living alone now, I'm getting better at it. And I don't think it's necessarily the living alone. I think it's just living close to work, because I've got more time, so I'm not squeezing my alone time anymore. Which is nice.
Good. So I mean, obviously walking with the dog, being in nature, that always settles me, grounds me. So that always really helps. So I like to do that. I think probably 30 years ago, when I first came across being able to manage your mind, was probably the most transformational thing that I have learnt. So I think in most of these podcasts, I talk about managing my state.
Yeah, I was going to say that is a mantra of my childhood.
So being able to recognize when my mind has gone into a dramatic place, a judgmental place, a catastrophic place, and knowing that most of what it's telling me is probably not true, and that I'm whipping myself up unnecessarily. And having strategies to be able to notice when I'm triggered, notice when I'm not managing my state, and to manage my mind actively through sifting through getting rid of the drama and actually getting back to what is truthful around here, and therefore what do I want to do about it? What choices do I want to make? So as a strategy, it's something I've taught loads of people. I coach loads of people on it, but I have to say it's probably one of the biggest life skills that's transformed the way that I live my life by using that.
And I think it's something that you've done a very good job of passing on to both me and my brother as well, because that's something that I've learnt to be quite good at as well. Like I've got such a vivid memory of, I must have been like 14 or 15 at the time, was incredibly overwhelmed. I can't remember what it was about, but I remember phoning you to kind of like talk it through. And I'd kind of like got on the phone and I'd explained what had happened, and I got to the end of it. And I remember you then telling me later, someone in the lift with you was like, did your daughter just do CBT on herself or whatever it was? CBT, so cognitive behavioral therapy, which is this whole, what's the truth? Like outside of the situation, can you look at it from outside of your own vision and see what the truth is? And that was such a moment for me of like, that's not typical that people are able to do this management of state. And I think that was my moment of like, this is really valuable, and I almost don't realize the gift that I've been given in being able to do that for myself.
And I think journaling, that's another strategy. Sometimes when it's really,
I know you've got gorgeous journals, but I just don't. I didn't realize you actually journal.
I think if I'm gone into quite a dark place of, into some self-loathing or critical of myself, which is a part that I can go to, then I'll often journal when I'm needing to sort my head out beyond being able to, do a quick CBT process. I'll turn to journaling sometimes. That would be the other kind of strategy that I use.
It's interesting that you say that, because as you were talking about sort of truth telling about the situation, I think something that I find, and everyone's going to be slightly different, right? But I find it really helpful to externalize my thoughts. So I think that's my other big coping strategy is phoning you, and or someone else, but primarily tends to be you, just to talk through the situation. And often I don't actually need you to solve it for me, but I just need someone to listen to me as I work through my own thought process. But I've noticed, having now started to live alone, I will every now and then I'll do it a little bit just out loud, and it feels really weird. But like every now and then I'm like, oh, come on, you're just being ridiculous. Just get up, go to the gym, get it done. You'll feel better afterwards. And it's like almost getting it out of your own mind and spoken into the world just helps with that first step forward to do something a little bit different. And I think I'm noticing that, I still phone you multiple times a day. But I can't do that all the time, and I need to be able to do it for myself, because I'm capable of doing it by myself, because most of the time I ring you, I start chatting, and then 2 minutes in you're like, hi Amy, how you doing?
No, but I mean, what you're doing when you're saying, right, come on, let's go to the gym, is literally managing your mind at that point. Because, there's a part of you that wants to just stay in bed and sloth. And there's another bit of like, come on, this is going to help you. So that is an effective way of managing your mind. And I think sometimes when you either write it down on paper, journaling, or speak it out loud, it takes away some of the power, that can kind of hold you a bit stuck. And I was wondering whether in terms of how you help someone else. So when you see somebody else overwhelmed, one of the big strategies, obviously, I use with you is a lot of listening, because you can process yourself. You just need someone to hold that space for you and allow you to kind of work it through. So, my own, I'm principally just giving you a safe space and listening to you and supporting you to find your own way through it, which is a massive strategy. And I don't think it should be underestimated, because I think a lot of the time I watch people wanting to fix. Yeah,
that's such a big thing. And I think also the fixing mentality, we also see, at least I've seen it when I've been in a relationship with a guy as well. And I see it in my brother as well, of like, when we come to them with problems and they're like, well, how can I help? It's like, no, the help I need is just to sit there and listen to me. And I think that's so the piece around the value of being able just to sit and listen to someone, maybe ask a question here or there. It comes back to our theme of every episode, curiosity.
Well, there's a video, if any of the listeners want to have a look at it, if you Google It's Not About the Nail.
Oh, that's a good one. And we can link it as well. We'll link it on our Instagram. And
it's such a brilliant video where there's, it's funny because there's a woman who literally has, not a real nail, but obviously it's
a special effect.
A special effect nail in her head. And she sits down and she's obviously talking to her partner and she's like, I keep getting these headaches. It really, I don't know what's wrong with me. And all he wants to do is fix her by just taking the nail out. And she's like, no, you're not listening to me. You need to listen to me. And so it's such a good, I think particularly for, I'm a big generalization, but I think a lot of men want to fix things,
Yeah.
either for their partners or for their children.
Well, it's that protector-provider mentality, isn't it? Of like, you give me a problem and I'm going to solve it for you.
Yeah, and that makes them feel better.
And there is a time and a place. And there are some things that I'm like, fantastic.
Yeah.
Dad, please come solve this for me, you know? But I think there are, especially when we're overwhelmed, often I don't want anyone. And it's not that I don't want someone to solve it for me. I want to be able to solve it for myself because it's a feeling that's going on within me. It's not an actual problem out in the world that needs fixing. And it's important to me to be able to get myself out of those little spirals.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think creating a safe space, as always, listening, allowing emotions to be expressed, whether that's anger, tears. You don't need to...
if I was to fly a plane over the world with a message, it was like, just let girls cry. Well, let guys cry. Let everyone cry.
Exactly.
Everyone, let's just have a big old cry fest.
No, but seriously, I can't stand it when, like, you know, either the boys don't cry or, it, you know, why are you always crying?
Oh, you're so emotional.
I know. It just drives me nuts. It's like we're emotional human beings.
Yeah.
That's what makes us beautiful.
Yeah.
And we have emotions, so can we not express them? You know, so another thing would be, you know, allow emotions to be expressed, whether that's anger, whether it's upset, whether it's
and to express them in a healthy way as well.
Yeah.
You know, like I think if you've got someone who is overwhelmed and is expressing their emotion in a potentially harmful way, either to themselves or someone else, hold that boundary.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, or get yourself to a safe space or whatever that looks like. I think, you know, if you can be angry and you just need to punch a pillow. If you've got the desire to punch someone, please don't do that.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, but it's like, find the avenues of healthy expression of emotion, whatever that looks like for you. But
do you remember doing that as kids?
I always found that really weird, though.
Yeah, you didn't like it.
I didn't like it, but I don't tend. Again, I'm just a big old waterworks.
Yeah, it's just tears with you. I remember getting you as children whenever you were angry to like someone.
Sorry, if you're watching, it'll have seen a really pathetic, just sort of like imitation of hitting a pillow.
I mean, my other strategy when I'm angry is I would like drive the car somewhere, park it where there's no one around, and just let out a good scream. No,
yeah.
like no, it's not right. You know, that would be my other strategy.
Screaming is so powerful.
It's
like a
release.
Cathartic scream.
Yeah.
You know,
it's a good release.
Because for me, it's my version of that is singing in the car. Like turning my musical theatre song, getting Burn from Hamilton, just really blasting tears. Don't do this, kids. Don't drive and cry at the same time. But getting a good musical theatre ballad on, feeling all those emotions as if Hamilton himself has cheated on me too.
So other strategies when you're helping other people?
So
anything else?
I think in the vein of listening, I think that curiosity, like asking a question every now and then.
Yeah.
I think asking questions when someone's overwhelmed can feel really tricky.
Yeah.
And you definitely can learn to get more skillful and better at it as well. But I think as long as those questions are rooted in understanding, in trying to understand rather than passing judgment or, again, slipping into fixing, you know, and I've always, I volunteered, well, both you and I have volunteered actually at the Shout Crisis text helpline, which is an amazing charity that does amazing work. But one of the key things that you're sort of told and taught during the training course is you don't ask why. Yeah. You know, you don't like try and sort of dig into people's why if they're feeling something. Just go like, oh,
just believe them.
Yeah, exactly.
Feeling the way that they're feeling.
So what kind of questions would you ask if you're with someone who's feeling a bit overwhelmed and isn't really sure what to do?
Oh, contextually, it's always different. I mean, I guess one of my main questions that I have is, you know, how could I help? Yeah. Because I think not assuming that.
What do you need from me?
Yeah. What do you need from me? How could I help you? Can I help you? Yeah. Because sometimes help isn't always helpful. Yeah. If you think that you know what they need, it's not always what they need. So I would tend to ask, like, what do you need from me? Is there any way I can help? How could I support you? Yeah. And allow them to you know, to come to tell me what they need rather than me make an assumption.
And can I tell you one of the most useful questions that you ask me whenever I'm overwhelmed, and that I use with everyone I know is like, what sits underneath that? Of like, if you get to a point in the conversation and someone's either gets incredibly emotional about something, gets stuck on it and can't move past it, that question is such an unlocker of like, well, what sits underneath that?
Yeah.
You know, and listening to the, it's actually because I'm messed up and I don't feel, and I feel really stupid, or it's I can't seem to get myself out of bed, and I know I want to go to the gym, but I just can't get myself to do it, you know, and that makes me feel lazy, or like what, you know, like it just helps with that digging a little deeper without asking, because why just feels so confrontational.
Yeah. It's just doing a little bit of unpacking.
Yeah.
In terms of trying to get you to do a little bit more reflection than you normally would. So
I just had one more thing I wanted to add to that.
Yes.
Because it's really interesting to me that you said the most helpful thing you can do as another person is to ask what is useful, what is helpful. Because I feel like I've got better at asking you that when I can see you being a bit overwhelmed, because I can remember when we had sort of a death in the family and not knowing how to be helpful. And I remember I kept going to hold your hand or give you a hug, or because that's something that I find really helpful when I'm feeling very upset, very overwhelmed. Yeah. And I just remember being like, having that moment of like, you're not being helpful, because this isn't actually something that you're finding useful. Yeah. And I think that was, again, another trigger point of me of going, actually, you can just ask. Yeah. You can just ask what's helpful for someone. Yeah. And if they don't know, they don't know. That's also okay. Yeah. You know, and so then maybe you present a few options of go, well, would you like me to just listen? Actually, do you want to just be alone? Shall I go be somewhere else? Do you want me to just give you a hug?
Shall I make a cup of tea?
Exactly. Like, shall I cook you dinner? Yeah. You know, and it's almost like, because sometimes when you're in overwhelm, it's that like mental fatigue of like, don't ask me to make another decision. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I'm drowning right now. I don't know what's going on. So actually that, how can I be helpful? Here are some options. Yeah. Helps with that decision-making process of actually, you know, what sounds really good? Yeah. Hot chocolate. Yeah.
And I mean, what you've picked up on is, you know, earlier on, you would be like projecting how you want to be helped and assuming that
I'm
was
so
helpful.
Bad for doing that. Everyone gets hugs around me, even if they don't want it.
Whereas asking someone allows them to, and also I think when you're in overwhelm and you ask someone, it starts to get them to engage with their more rational side, because often when you're overwhelmed, you're emotionally just kind of flooded. Yeah. So actually asking them to make a decision about something, it engages the frontal cortex and takes them away from some of the emotional bits. So it helps to kind of bring a bit of
stability.
Balance. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
So I think that's enough, isn't it, on resilience?
That's good.
I mean, I would love to hear from our listeners.
Well, because it was around overwhelm than resilience more than anything, I think.
Yeah,
we ended up focusing more on the
dealing with overwhelm. Yeah. I mean, I would love to hear from the listeners. What strategies do they use? Yeah. You know, if you're listening to this, you know, kind of share with Amy and I, what are some of your strategies that you use for resilience and overwhelm? Where do you struggle? Yeah. You know, would you like us to talk any more about this subject? Because Amy and I
go into any other bits in any more detail, because it's an area both you and I are very... I feel like I say this every week. It's an area I'm just a very passionate person. I'm passionate about lots of things, I've realised. But I think with my psychology brain and sort of focus on mental well-being, I think with your like coaching side of things, and also just the way that you've brought me up as a parent from your motherhood lens, I think we come at it from sort of lots of different angles, which I think, so let us know if you want to
if you want us to chat any more about it, we would love to hear from you at chattermatterspod@outlook.com. And we would, very much like to hear from you. So I hope everyone has a great week. Hope you have a good weekend. Coming up.
Mama. Yeah, I think it's going to be a good week. It's a bit calmer at work.
It's going to be warm. I know. In the UK, it's going to be like 27 degrees.
I'm going to crack out my summer clothes. I'm quite excited.
Only for 2 days, though.
Well, yeah, then it goes back in a vacuum sealed bag and doesn't see the light of day until maybe that good weekend in August.
Well, have a lovely week, and we will pick up again next week.
Fabulous. See you all later.
Bye, everyone.